Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, please come in and make yourself at home. My name is Patty Cake. Welcome to Patty Cake Games, and the third episode of Settling the Scores. And with me is my friend Dan, my music aficionado friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. I'm so excited. We actually, just to let you guys know, we already recorded this episode. We did this a couple of weeks ago. But a record button wasn't pressed, and now we have to do it over again. And it's no big deal. Anyone who has ever done content creation has done this, so there's nothing to worry about. What we did, and then we decided just to meet up the next time we filmed, and we were just going to choose the same topic, but we'll choose different songs, because we both had several songs from that one topic, so we just used a different music. It's all good. All right, our theme this week. Our theme this week is themes from environments. So like locations, settings, environmental themes. That's what our goal is this week. So I'm going to go first. I bringing this to the table, and this actually is by one of the greatest video game composers that's ever lived. His name is Mitsuda. And he is most famous for doing the soundtrack to Chrono Trigger. And this game, which is the sequel, I don't really like calling it a sequel because it's not a sequel, Chrono Cross, which came out on the PlayStation. Chrono Cross is more of a companion piece to Chrono Trigger than a sequel, because it doesn't really follow up on anything that happened in Chrono Trigger, not really. There are elements from the world of Chrono Trigger that appear in Chrono Cross, and there are themes that carry over, but it's not about the same thing, and it doesn't take place in the same place. So, Chrono Trigger, with the word chrono, you can probably figure it's about time travel. Chrono Cross instead dealt with dimensions, parallel universes, if you will. And the parallel universe hinged, it's like Loki. We watched Loki. You watched Loki, yes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you remember they had to assassinate people. Or was it Loki that did that? They had to assassinate people to keep a timeline intact. And they would do this tons of research to figure out this one thing that they could do. It could be something as small as putting a fork on a table, or something as big as assassinating a president. But that one thing they did would keep the timeline intact.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would prune them.
Yeah, they're pruning the divergent universes. Yes.
Because it sounds better than like completely killing off an entire timeline.
True.
I digress.
So Chrono Cross kind of deals with that idea. The idea that there's this one event that happened, and because this event happened, the world split into two parallel universes. And the event was your character dying as a child on the beach. So in one universe, your character died when you were a child. And in the universe that you live in, you're still alive. And you are in the divergent universe.
Oh, okay.
And so, flash forward kind of towards the end of the game. You find this place that's hidden underneath these clouds. And it's tied to your father, because your father went there and he found it and he came back. And it's called the Chronopolis. And it's this giant futuristic place that's filled with computers and machinery and all kinds of stuff, and it's very out of place in the world that you're in. And come to find out, it's actually from the future. And the interesting thing they did in this story is they tied a game mechanic into the world lore. So, role-playing games, you have save points, and they usually have a very specific graphic. In this one, I think they were a little glowing pyramid. And you walk up and you interact with it, and it opens up the menu for you to save your game. Basic game mechanic. You don't really think anything about it when you play games, because you have to have some way of doing that. So they don't really have to tie it into the lore, but they did. They actually tied into the lore and made it a point to show you throughout the game that you are not the only person that uses these save points. Everyone uses them. They walk up to them and they tell their story to the save point to save their progress through their life so far. They don't really ever explain why until you get to the Chronopolis. The Chronopolis seeded all of those save points, and that's how they gather information about everyone in the world to find out what they're doing, and that's how they do their research to find out what they need to prune to keep the timeline intact.
Ooh.
Right. So this music is from the Chronopolis, and one of my favorite things about this is how it uses what's the word I'm looking for? Improvised percussion.
Yeah.
Like they use, like you use like a metal pipe or a piece of sheet metal that you shake or something that makes a sound, and you turn that into some sort of percussion. And I always really love it. I always really love it when composers do that.
Okay.
By the way, at home, if you are watching this without headphones on, you need to put headphones on. Because the stereo effects for the percussion is one of the things that makes this song really great. One thing I will say, this piano part.
I like that. I actually do. As soon as it introed, I was like, "Ooh, that's nice."
Yeah, and that's something Mitsuda was really famous for. In all of his soundtracks, there are tracks where this sort of style of playing is done, with this very arpeggiated piano. And even and this actually is another thing that ties it to the original game. It's using a chord structure that's almost the same, but not quite the same as one of the songs from Chrono Trigger. So it feels very nostalgic and familiar for people that have played the original game, but it also feels very new and fresh, which is a really hard thing to pull off.
That is,
But I love I love those arpeggios, and that chord progression is so cool. It has this air of discovery to it, but also an air of danger.
Yeah, there's a danger. I hear that in there, and I'm kind of like, there's almost like a threat level of some kind that's going on here. That's kind of interesting.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the percussion that's used. That they decided to go with that very strange metallic wing, for lack of a better way of doing it. I'm not very good at imitating that sound, but you know what I'm talking about. That particular sound, it sounds menacing, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, that's the word I was trying to come up with. It sounds menacing.
It's menacing, but it's also juxtaposed with this arpeggiated piano that's also very pretty and very like, wow, like filled with wonder, like you're discovering something new, which fits this so. I mean, if you were dumped into some super high-tech place and you had no idea what was going on, you would feel that. You would be like, wow, this is what is this? This place is amazing. But also you're probably terrified.
Because you're amazed and bewildered. You're wondering what the hell's going on. What is this cool stuff going on? But then it's like everything, like there's always that slight level of concern, trepidation, maybe feel like a little bit of a threatened kind of emotion when you're trying to like figure out where you're at. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like that piece.
That call and answer with the high and the low. I really love that because the high plays the melody and then the bass answers. Let me back it up a little.
It reminds me that almost kind of metallic down kind of sound.
Mm-hmm.
Down. When did this game come out? Was this like a
Let's find out.
1990s?
I think it was early 90s. Yeah, Chrono Cross.
Okay.
Release date. November 18th, 1999.
Interesting. Okay, because the reason I cued in on that is because that particular sound is very prevalent in I think it was David Arnold that did the music for GoldenEye.
Oh, interesting.
James Bond,
Uh-huh.
and you hear that chime kind of sound a lot through the soundtrack. So I was wondering because that seems to be about that time period. So
It
I
might
don't
have been.
remember the exact release date.
It might have just been like a musical trend at the time because I remember
Maybe, yeah.
that sort of metallic improvised percussion. I heard it not just in this game, I've heard it in other games as well. And I've heard it in film soundtracks. And they all come from like the late 90s, early 2000s. It probably was sort of a musical trend at the time. I remember, so funny story, this is one of those moments that makes you kind of feel like you might contribute a little to society if you're just a gamer. Because I remember we're watching the news, and me and Jody were just flipping through the news, and it was not long after Chrono Cross came out. It was probably maybe about 3 or 4 months after Chrono Cross came out. And they had like segments, with just animations on the screen talking about, threat level of storms or, what's coming up in the next few days. And they're just talking over these graphics, and they usually have just some sort of music playing in the background. And they were playing this song, the Chronopolis song from Chrono Cross. And I recognized it. I was like, that's from Chrono Cross. I was like pointing at the TV, like, it's from Chrono Cross. And
Jody's looking at you
like, what are you talking about?
I love it. I love it.
All right. So that was the Chronopolis.
I dig that one. That one's really good.
Yeah. Chrono Cross has a great soundtrack. Chrono Trigger has a great soundtrack.
Well, I like that one. That one's really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, I really dig the piano playing in that one. It went really nicely. I like that. I dig it.
Yeah. Well, I see that you've brought something from Last of the Mohicans to the table.
Yes. This is like one of my favorite films. Uh, I the first time I actually saw it was in college. My roommate and I, we realized that the local mall downtown in San Antonio
Mm-hmm.
had an IMAX theater, and we were like, "Oh, we should go check it out." And that particular evening, it was The Last of the Mohicans,
Okay.
and I had never seen this movie before, and I was absolutely blown away by it visually. The story's great, but something about this particular film, the way it was shot, the fact that it's taking up, most of the IMAX screen, um, visually, there's a lot of like, it's the story takes place in New York, before New York was actually like a real state, because this was
Right. It was
the French and
wilderness.
Indian War. Yeah, so it's New York State in the wilderness. It's during the what is it, 1760? I forget the exact date, but it's the French and Indian War,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's the environment. That's the part. So a lot of the music, it's fantastic to begin with. Anyway, I mean it's interesting because a lot of the music in this particular film seems to evoke its environment, whether it's quiet and peaceful or if it's dangerous, something like to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
But the piece that always gets to me every time I hear it is the one that I'm going to share with you today. This particular piece, it in the story in the film, um, you're it's at the very end of the film. Uh, Chinga I can't quite remember the name of this particular character, the Indian. He's literally the last of the Mohicans,
Mm-hmm.
and in this particular scene, he's lamenting and mourning the death of his son, because that leaves just him, and so he's basically praying that his son joins uh, the council fire of his people, if, and as he's doing this, the scene ends, and it's a beautiful shot because it's like the three central characters that are left in the film,
Mm-hmm.
and they're overlooking this mountain, and you just see the forest underneath them. The wind is blowing. It's kind of dramatic, and this piece comes in. So what I'm giving to you today to listen to is kind of like not necessarily the closing credits of the piece, but it is kind of definitely the last one that you hear in the song.
Okay.
So I'm kind of curious to see how you might take this one.
Oh my gosh. That's so.
Hmm.
It's so sad.
It is very
Like
mournful. It is
it
very sad.
immediately made me want to cry.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
But the neat thing about it is the entry, the strings that you're hearing. It's a theme that carries out through most of the soundtrack,
Mm.
which is nice.
The
So
leitmotif. I love leitmotifs.
yeah, I love it too.
Oh wow. I love that really quiet drum in the background there.
Hmm.
I almost didn't. I thought maybe I didn't even hear it. I mean, I heard it, but I thought maybe you were like shifting
Yeah.
in your seat or something. At first, it was just picking up you moving on your microphone,
Oh,
and then I heard it
yeah,
again. I was like, oh no, that was actually drums. Okay, it was so subtle.
yeah, yeah. Oh yes, it's very.
When did that tonality shift happen? I missed it. Because it's not sad anymore.
Yeah, no.
When did that happen? Was it right after
It's
the
kind of like,
drums?
the drums kind of.
That I didn't even
Yeah.
notice that shift. It was so well integrated that I didn't even pick up on it until I realized that this actually feels hopeful now. This feels like yeah. Okay, I'm gonna back it up quite a bit actually.
Okay.
I want to hear that.
Sure.
No, it's before this. It was right when the drums started.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was right when I first noticed the drums. That's when the tone shifted.
And I think also it has the strings kind of went from a lower register kind of.
Yeah, they went up.
Going.
They went up an octave. You're right.
Yeah. And I think that kind of just changed the mood of it a little bit. It's just.
It greatly lifts it. Even though there aren't any there, I feel like there's lyrics. Like it almost feels like a hymn.
Yeah, like I hadn't thought about that. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean this melody right here, it feels like a hymn. It feels like there should be words that are sung on top of it.
That
nice
swell is
crescendo.
nice.
Oh, that's lovely.
That first swell always gives me the chills.
Yeah, that was
because it's right. I love this piece. I mean, what gets me about it is that you're hearing it and it's very sad. It's very mournful. It's it's just sad. And the thing about it is you're listening to the piece, and even though the emotional trajectory changes, the sound becomes something different. There's still that little edge of sorrow that carries through it. But I think it's kind of evocative, kind of like when you think about your own self and you go through something that really challenges you, and maybe it breaks your heart, maybe it just makes you so sad, but at some point things start to shift for you a little bit and things start to get a little bit better for you. You might still be feeling that sadness for whatever it might have been, but it's kind of like that things are going to get better somehow. Yeah. And I'm not trying to say that this piece is like a cheerful song, because it certainly isn't.
No, it's certainly not. But I would say the emotional trajectory I got from it started with sorrow, and then it became hope, and then it became pride at the end. And to me, that almost speaks. It's like a perfect representation of like the theme of the film, or the theme of that moment in the film. This is I am the last of my people. So yes, we're a lost people, sorrow, but then
Mm-hmm.
I can carry on the legacy, hope, and then we were such an amazing people. That's pride at the end.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm kind of floored too because I never thought about like it's almost a hymn at that middle section. I never caught that before, so that's awesome. Now I'm going to always think about that, so I think that's great.
That's why we do this, so we can,
Yeah.
we get different
But
perspectives.
what blows my mind too is when I think about it is because I was, researching this piece. I was surprised to find out that at one point, the director Michael Mann was looking at doing this as an electronic soundtrack.
Oh no!
And
no.
somewhere, I agree. But somewhere midway in production, as he's shooting it, I guess he changed his mind and just realized, no, it can't be that. It needs to be something different.
Yeah.
And so the person that Randy Edelman, I think is his name.
Randy Edelman.
Edelman, thank you. And there was somebody else because it
Trevor Jones and Randy
thank you.
Edelman.
I was trying to remember. Trevor Jones. Initially, they decided, okay, no, we need to actually score this out as orchestral music, and I'm so glad they did.
Oh yeah. And
but
it's kind of like Legend. You know the movie Legend with Tom Cruise?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so like the theatrical release had an electronic soundtrack by Tangerine Dream. But there was an entire orchestral soundtrack that was made, and you can watch that on the director's cut, and the movie has a completely different tone because of the different soundtrack.
I'm gonna have to go find that because I only remember the soundtrack with Tangerine Dream.
Yeah, I have it. I have it. Next time you visit, we'll watch it.
Sounds great. Because I haven't sat down to watch that one in a while. It's due a rewatch. But I, as a whole, The Last of the Mohicans, I think that soundtrack is Oscar worthy. I think it was Oscar worthy, but there's a rule in there somewhere that because I think it has to be a single composer, and because this thing was actually done between the two gentlemen, they were out of the running. They were not even considered.
That's a shame.
And I think that's it. Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's almost like the rule that a sequel can't win.
Yeah.
That's such a stupid rule.
We're not going to get into this because I could go on for days.
Yeah, I know.
About the crappy politics about the Academy. So anyway,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
But that was great. That was an incredible piece of music. Thank you for bringing that. Thank you for bringing that to me. And you know what? I actually need to watch this film because I will admit I've never watched it. So.
Sit down. Sit down and watch this one.
Yeah, that made me want to watch it.
Because it's beautiful. I mean, visually, and obviously the soundtrack is just an auditory delight.
Right.
I think you'd love it. I think you would really love it.
All right. Well, I'll definitely check it out. Well, thank you guys for coming by and watching this video if you made it all the way to the end. And Dan, thank you for bringing a great piece of music and doing the show with me. It's fun.
It's fun. That's why I do it. I love to hang out with you.
All right. Well, you guys make sure you like and subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you guys next time.